Hi, fourth graders. Today we are going to continue on making inferences when we read. Day 3, I can make an inference about a text. Just remember that when we make an inference, we want to use what we already know, called our schema, and the clues from the story to infer what we think might happen. Here is our story called Etna Blows Its Top. Follow along with me as we read. Mount Etna is located on the island of Sicily in Italy. At about 10,958 feet, 3,340 meters, it is Europe's tallest active volcano. The first known eruption of Mount Etna took place around 475 BC. Many eruptions have occurred throughout history, with 14 small eruptions occurring since the early 1970s. On July 17, 2001, Mount Etna blew its top. Lava and ash poured out of the mountain from 4 different places. Both the tourist area and cable car at the mountain were closed. Visits to Mount Etna were restricted to government officials and scientists only. Even though Mount Etna is active, local farmers still grow crops such as grapes and olives on the mountainside. The island people might be happier if this volcano became dormant and stopped erupting, but there is no sign of that happening. All right, so we just read this story about Mount Etna, and we learned that this erupted in July of 2001. So again, we want to use our background knowledge, what we know about volcanoes, and the clues from the text to make an inference. So one example, if you put your eyes down here, is we can use some of the evidence from the text. So we can say that, I'm going to use my pointer here so you can see, many eruptions have occurred throughout our history. And we can also see that 14 small eruptions have occurred since early 1970s. So I can make an inference that there's probably going to continue to be more eruptions as time goes on, because if it says that many eruptions have occurred throughout history, and there's been 14 of them since the early 1970s, I can guarantee that they're going to continue to happen over and over and over. And as I continue to read, I found out that that was correct. Another piece of evidence from this story was after the 2001 eruption, the tourist area of the mountain was closed. Well, I had to think about that for a moment. If they would close the tourist area of the mountain because it has erupted, obviously you can't be touring it because the mountain has erupted and it's an active volcano and there's lava and ash all over. You're not going to want to have tourists come and visit a volcano because it would be very hot. It'd be messy. It could be very dangerous, especially if the lava was cooling and hardening and you were walking and you walked in the wrong place. But only the people that could come to visit were the officials and the scientists that were allowed on the mountain. And that makes sense because scientists want to study the volcano to see when it would erupt again, or they would also maybe even take samples so they could take it back to the lab. This last part right here, where it talks about the farmers still growing grapes and olives on the mountainside, people are not going to continue to stop living there just because the active is erupting. So yes, they would like the volcano to become dormant, which means that it would be almost like sleeping. Nothing would be happening. But that's where they live. That is their home. They're not going to leave because that's where they live. So boys and girls, when we make a text evidence, when we make a inference, we have to use the background knowledge about what we know plus the evidence from the story to make that inference. So I can also infer that volcanoes are very destructive, that they shoot out hot lava and ash, and they can take away everything in its path, and it can be very dangerous for the people, the animals, and the vegetation that live there. Today you're going to be watching a video when you read for your assignment. You're going to be watching some videos, some commercials, and I want you to try to make some inferences based off of the text, what the writer has done within the commercial, and your prior knowledge to make an inference about those commercials. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to one of your teachers so they can help you.